I'm delighted as MD to say that it's been a fantastic year for the business over the last 12 months in a whole range of areas, but most importantly because of the strong investment returns that we've produced for you. And all our funds have beat their targets, and they have very specific targets, and those funds have beaten their targets over the last 12 months. And our key focus, as I said before, is on the investing side, because we've got a very simple business model at Milford, and that business model is if our clients do well, then we do well. And it's something that drives our whole business focus. It drives a lot of what we do. For example, the fees that we charge are based on that. So as you are no doubt aware, we've very deliberately had a low, compared to our competitors, a low base fee, which includes all the fund charges, and then a performance fee on top. And I've got no doubt as MD, when I see the investment team working every day and striving for good investment returns, that performance fee is a big motivator for them. They're also very motivated as well because their investment funds are in the funds as well. We don't allow any Milford staff to have their own personal portfolios out to the side, and they might have a conflict between the Milford fund they're managing and their personal assets or their personal investable assets. So not only are they shareholders in our business, but they have to invest in the Milford funds as well. So again, they're very conscious that they want those funds to do well. And last and by no means least, from my point of view, Milford itself as a business also invests in the funds as well. So right through the organisation, there's a tremendous incentive to make sure that those funds do well for you. And that level of staff and Milford investment is actually shown in the fund updates every month, and I'd recommend you I'm sure you're receiving those. We're very keen on transparency, so we do send those out. We aim to send those out within 5 working days of each month end, and at the bottom of each of those fund updates is the amount of investment in those funds by the Milford staff and the Milford business. Just a couple of other things just to run through before I hand over to Jonathan. You saw the awards at the start with the music, so I won't talk about that too much, other than to say we're obviously delighted to receive awards. It's not something that drives our business, but there is one particular award as MD that I'm particularly proud of that I just wanted to mention, and that is the Best Places to Work competition, which we entered for the first time in the small company category, because we are still a small company from a staff point of view. And we made the final of that against a whole range of companies, from car dealerships to government departments and the like. But it reinforced, from my point of view, that we've got a very engaged and committed staff that really enjoy being part of Milford. The other thing, just to briefly mention on the awards, is just the consistency of achievement in a few of those awards. And we really are striving for that consistency. And as I was saying to a few people before we started tonight, we certainly don't take our success for granted. We're staying very grounded. We're not becoming arrogant or feeling that we're bigger than the market. We know every day is a challenge to make sure that we can produce good returns for you, and we're very conscious of that as a business, that we stay grounded and that we are always looking at ways to enhance our business. And just to finish up before Jonathan comes to talk about the Balance Fund, we are a growing company. You can see it. Andrew mentioned as part of the introduction how it has grown. And I do get a lot of questions. Well, are you handling that growth well? And part of my role and part of a lot of the people at Milford is to make sure we handle that growth well as the investment team investing the funds wisely. One of the benefits of growing as a company is, first of all, the culture is a very positive one within Milford. People enjoy being part of a company which is going forward. But it also gives us the opportunity to invest into the business. And you'll see that when we have the Q&A session later on, how much we've invested, for example, into the investment team. The investment team has doubled in the last 12 or 18 months. We've now got an investment team of 12, and we've got good depth across all of the investment team, and you'll get an opportunity to ask them questions later on. And they come from a wide range of backgrounds. We've got a bit of a United Nations forming at Milford, which is great. A lot of diversity of thought and ideas around the business, from Kiwis who have learned a lot of good things overseas and brought those experiences back, to people who have decided to relocate it into New Zealand as well. The growth also allows us to invest in things like technology, improving things like our website. It has also allowed us to invest into a Sydney office. I think we're the only New Zealand manager that has done that, so we're the first New Zealand manager to actually open up a Sydney office, which opened up last month. It'll be small to start with, but it will enhance what we do in investing into Australian companies. We have over 1,000 visits to Australasian companies in a year in the last 12 months. roughly half of those, 500, were Australian companies. There's no doubt that having a Sydney office will allow the people who are based there to visit those companies more easily, because we're great believers in kicking the tyres and going to see the companies, not just sitting in the office. And finally, we are investing heavily into the community as well. We're great believers of putting something back in. So we've had two sponsorships that we've undertaken in the last 12 months. One is the Silo Theatre Company, which is Auckland-based, so some of you may have been to performances up here, but they do travel around the country as well, and we're very delighted to be sponsors of them. And also at the charitable side, we sponsor an organisation called What's Up. I'm not sure if all of you have heard of that, but it's a counselling helpline for young people and children. So that's my brief update about the business. I'm very happy to take any questions at the end of the session, although, as I said before, the main focus for today is the investment side quite consciously. And that's why Jonathan now will get up to go through the balance fund with you. He's a very good example of a Kiwi who's come back and used his experiences that he's gained from overseas. He's had 7 years in London before he joined Milford 6 years ago, and used those experiences to help develop his thoughts and his investment ideas and help produce such great returns for the balanced and the income fund. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Jonathan.